Hello everyone, welcome to Edu-GST. As you are aware, with effect from 1st November 2024, government has notified section 128A offering the amnesty with respect to interest penalty or both for financial years 17-18, 18-19 and 19-20. The government has also notified Rule 164 in order to provide the procedure and condition for availing this amnesty scheme. So stay tuned till the end of this video because we are going to dive into the key aspects of this amnesty scheme along with the detailed discussion on circular number 238/32/2024. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe our channel for the more insights on the GST. So without further delay, let's start the session. So why government has given this relief? We have witnessed during the initial period of GST, a lot of issues and challenges were there before the taxpayer, and because of which taxpayer have committed so many mistakes while filing the GST returns or while complying the various provisions of the GST law. Now, in order to provide the one-time benefit to all the taxpayer and on the request of various trade organizations, government has introduced this section 128A. The council in its 53rd GST council meeting took this agenda and decided to provide the conditional waiver from interest and penalty or both by insertion of section 128A in the CGST Act. And accordingly, section 128A was introduced by way of Finance Bill number 2/2024, which was subsequently accepted by the Parliament and passed by the Parliament by way of the Finance Act number 2/2024 with effect from 1st November 2024. Now, as I mentioned, this benefit is conditional benefit. So, if taxpayer is fulfilling those conditions, then only he can apply for this waiver scheme. And to provide the various procedure and conditions to this amnesty scheme, government has also introduced Rule 164 with effect from 1st November 2024. Now, government has also clarified by way of circular 238/32/2024 GST various issues related to this amnesty scheme. So, in this presentation, we are going to discuss all those issues which are prescribed in circular also. Now see, when we are discussing the amnesty scheme, we require to discuss the each and every part of this amnesty scheme. And when you are studying this section 128 read with 164 and this circular, you will find that this amnesty scheme is bifurcated into 4 major parts. So the first part is regarding the applicability of this amnesty scheme, to in which situation this amnesty scheme is applicable. The second part of this amnesty scheme is in which form I require to apply for the amnesty scheme, because you require to apply for the amnesty scheme online. So which are the notified form under which I require to make the application to the on the portal to the government in order to avail this amnesty scheme. The third important part of this amnesty scheme is payment to the government. Payment to government is the precondition for availing the input for availing this amnesty scheme. And fourth is the overall procedure which a taxpayer or which the applicant is required to follow while applying for the amnesty scheme. So we are going to discuss all these 4 parts during our today's deliberation. So let's start with the first aspect, that is regarding applicability of waiver scheme. Now, if you see section 128A subsection 1, 3 categories are provided which are covering the applicability of this waiver scheme. This waiver scheme is applicable in 3 cases, and 4th case is covered under the proviso to section 128A. So what is the first case? When show cause notice is issued under section 73 subsection 1 or statement under section 73 subsection 3, but no order is issued under section 73 subsection 9. So show cause is issued under section 73 subsection 1 or statement is issued under subsection 3 of section 73, but no order is passed under section 73 subsection 9. This will be the first case when you can apply for the amnesty scheme under section 128A. Now, what is the difference between show cause notice and statement? When the issue is continuous, in that case department is not issuing the separate show cause notice. In that case department is just issuing a statement referring to the original show cause notice. Okay, so in order to avail the benefit under section 128A, the first category is show cause notice which is issued under section 73 or statement which is issued under section 73 but no order is passed by the adjudicating authority. This will be the first case. Now the second, where order is issued by the adjudicating authority but order by the appellate authority is not passed. So order is issued under section 73 for SCN or statement but no order has been issued by the appellate authority or revisional authority. So this will be the second scenario where you can apply for the waiver scheme. The third scenario is order passed by the appellate authority or revisionary authority but order is not passed by the appellate tribunal, right? So this will be the third scenario where you can apply for the waiver scheme. The fourth scenario, which is provided under the proviso, which states that in case of redetermination of liability. Now basically this scheme is applicable only for section 73. This scheme is not applicable for section 74. But sometime SCN is issued under section 74 but order is passed under section 73 or required to be passed under section 73 on the direction of appellate authority, appellate tribunal or court, because actually there is no fraud, suppression or misstatement. Okay, in that case appellate authority, tribunal or court direct the proper officer to pass the order under section 73. Now in that case also you can opt for this waiver scheme and you can avail the benefit of this waiver scheme. So there are four areas or there are four situations when the taxpayer can apply for the amnesty scheme. First, show cause notice or statement is issued under section 73 but order is not passed by the adjudicating authority. Second, order is issued by the adjudicating authority but order by the appellate authority or revisionary authority is not issued. Order by appellate authority or revisionary authority is issued but order by the appellate tribunal is not issued. And the fourth, liability was initiated under section 74 but order is passed or required to be passed under section 73 on the directions given by the appellate authority, appellate tribunal or court. In these four cases only you can apply for the amnesty scheme. Now there are few important aspects which are pertaining to the applicability of waiver scheme. In case of demand on account of erroneous refund, this amnesty scheme is not applicable. So amnesty scheme is not applicable when the demand is made on account of erroneous refund. In that case you cannot opt for this waiver scheme. This waiver scheme is conditional waiver scheme and one of the condition is that taxpayer must make the full payment of tax before applying for this scheme. So in order to eligible for this amnesty scheme, taxpayer requires to make the full tax payment before making application. Now it may happen that show cause notice is issued for the period which is covered under section 128A as well as for the period which is not covered under section 128A, right? So for multiple periods, say for financial year from financial year 17-18 till 2021, single show cause notice is issued. In that case this waiver scheme is applicable only for the specified period. So this is applicable only for the 17-18, 18-19 and 19-20. The scheme is not applicable for 2021. So in that case taxpayer requires to make the full payment of tax in respect of that show cause notice and he can apply for the waiver scheme for the specified period, that is 17-18, 18-19 and 19-20, and for 2021 he requires to make the payment of interest and penalty also if any provided in the show cause notice, right? So these are the few key aspects which are related with the applicability of waiver scheme. Now the second important part. So we have seen the first part, that is applicability. Now the second important part is application in the specified form. application in the specified form. Rule 164 provides that in order to avail the benefit of section 128A, person who is eligible for the waiver of interest, penalty or both is required to file an application in form GST SPL 01 or GST SPL 02 may be filed electronically on common portal. So two forms are notified by the government. First is form GST SPL 01 and second is form GST SPL 02. Now form GST SPL 01 is applicable only in case where show cause notice is issued under section 73 but no order is passed under section 73. In that case only this form SPL 01 is applicable. Now for all other cases form SPL 02 is applicable. That is when order is passed by the adjudicating authority or by the appellate authority but order by the appellate tribunal is not passed. In that case applicant required to file the application in form SPL 02. Or in case of redetermination of liability also form SPL 02 is applicable. So in that case applicant cannot make the application in form SPL 01. So form SPL 01 is applicable when show cause notice is issued under section 73 but order is not passed under section 73. So adjudication is pending. In that case only SPL 01 is applicable. SPL 02 is applicable in all other cases where SPL 01 is not applicable. Now if multiple notices or multiple statements or orders are issued by the department, in that case the applicant is required to make the separate application. So they cannot go for the single or consolidated application. In that case separate application is required to be made in form SPL 01 or in form SPL 02 as the case may be. Right? Now what is the timeline for furnishing the application? Now see, there are two events which we require to understand or which we require to remember. This benefit is subject to payment before the specified date, and second, this scheme is subject to filing of requisite form on or before the prescribed time period. So there are two different events. First is payment event and second is making the application through the form SPL 01 or SPL 02. As per rule 164 sub rule 6 of CGST rule, the application in form SPL 01/02 shall be filed within a period of 3 months from the date notified under section 128A subsection 1. So application can be filed within a period of 3 months. Within a period of 3 months from the date notified under section 128A. CBIC Wide Notification number 21/2024 Central Tax dated 8th October notified 31st March 2025 as the date under section 128A, and therefore application shall be made within a period of 3 months from 31st/3/2025. So 31st March 2025 is the notified date. From 31st/3/2025 within a period of 3 months, taxpayer is required to make the application in form SPL 01 or in form SPL 02 as the case may be. However, there is one restriction. There is one in case of redetermination of liability, this period of 3 months is not applicable. So there is exception. What is exception? In case of redetermination of liability assessed under section 74 but now confirmed under section 73, an application can be made within a period of 6 months from the date of communication of order of the by the proper officer redetermining the amount of tax paid under section 73. So when taxpayer is making application on account of redetermination of liability under section 73, which was originally assessed under section 74, in that case within a period of 6 months from the date of communication of order by the proper officer will be the due date or will be the last date for filing application in form SPL 02. And therefore, the time limit for filing of application in form SPL 1 and SPL 2 can be summarized as this. So, cases where the liability is redetermined under section 73, which was originally assessed under section 74, 6 months from the date of communication of order, and other than one within a period of 3 months from the 31st March 2025. So, in normal cases where redetermination of liability is not applicable, the last date for filing application in form SPL 01 or in form SPL 02 will be 30th June 2025. Now, this amnesty scheme is conditional amnesty scheme, and subject to fulfillment of certain condition, only the taxpayer can opt for this waiver scheme. And one of the condition which is specified under section 128A subsection 3 is withdrawal of appeal or writ petition filed before the appellate authority or before the High Court or Supreme Court. So, benefit of waiver of interest and penalty or both is available only on the withdrawal of appeal or writ petition. So, the applicant who wish to apply for the amnesty scheme requires to first withdraw the appeal made before the appellate authority or appellate tribunal. Or if any writ petition is filed before the High Court, in that case they require to withdraw that writ petition, and then only they can apply for this amnesty scheme. Now, order of withdrawal is also required to be uploaded along with the application for the waiver of this interest and penalty. Now, it may happen that taxpayer, they have applied for the withdrawal of appeal, but appellate authority has not passed the order till the date of making the application. In that case, the applicant is required to upload the application for withdrawal of appeal along with the requisite document on the common portal, and then only they can apply for the amnesty scheme. And after getting the order within a period of 1 month from the issuance of said order, appellant required to upload the final order on the common portal. Same process is applicable in case of special leave petition which is filed before the Honorable Supreme Court. So, applicant is required to follow the same process. In case of SLP filed before the Honorable Supreme Court, you required to apply for the withdrawal, and if order of withdrawal is received from the Honorable Supreme Court, in that case that order is required to be uploaded along with the application. Otherwise, if order is not received, in that case you required to upload the documents against which you have applied for the withdrawal. Applicability of waiver in certain cases. The waiver is restricted to the extent of interest or penalty or both for specified period only, that is for financial year 17, 18, 18, 19 and 19, 20, and available subject to full payment of tax. So see, this waiver scheme is restricted to interest or penalty or both. The waiver is restricted for the specified period only, that is 17, 18, 18, 19 and 19, 20, and the waiver is subject to full payment of tax which is demanded in the show cause notice or in the order. So there is no scope for the partial payment. If you are making any partial payment, in that case this amnesty scheme is not applicable. Now, section 128A is notified with effect from 1st November 2024. So question arises whether payment made before 1st November is relevant or payment made after 1st November is relevant. CBIC has clarified that the waiver is applicable regardless of whether the payment was made before or after section 128A came into effect, and whether it was made before or after demand notice or order was issued. So both the cases are covered, right? First, even if you have made the payment before 1st November, still it is clarified that waiver scheme is applicable to that person. Waiver is also applicable where tax component has been paid by the taxpayer. They are just fighting for the interest and penalty component. In that case also, this waiver scheme is applicable. However, this waiver of interest and penalty shall not be applicable when interest is demanded on account of delayed filing of return or delayed reporting of any supply in return. In that case, this amnesty scheme is not applicable, because in that case tax component is already paid. So demand is only for the delayed filing of return or delayed reporting of any supply in the return. In that case, this amnesty scheme is not applicable. In case of late fees or redemption fine also, it is not in the nature of interest or penalty. It is not within the coverage of section 128A. So waiver scheme is also not applicable in case of late fees or redemption fine. So we have seen applicability. We have seen the forms in which a registered person is required to apply for the amnesty. Now we will see one of the important condition, which is essential condition in order to avail this amnesty scheme, is payment of tax before filing an application. So the waiver from interest or penalty or both is available under section 128A only when a person liable for the payment of tax pays the full amount of tax payable as determined under notice or statement or order. So whatever amount is demanded in the show cause notice, in the statement or in the order, the applicant is required to make the full payment of that tax amount. Now question will arise, if this section is notified under CGST Act, whether this section is applicable in case of IGST and compensation to cess Act. CBIC made it very clear that the full amount of tax includes CGST, SGST, IGST and cess. So this section is also applicable in case of IGST Act and compensation to state compensation to state cess Act. In both the cases, this section is applicable. Now we have seen that under section 31st March 2025 is notified as the last date for making the payment under section 128A subsection 1. But there is exception. This date is applicable only when there is no redetermination of liability. So cases other than redetermination of liability, last date for making payment is 31st March 2025. And after making the payment only, you can make the application in form SPL 01 or in form SPL 02. So payment is precondition. In case of redetermination of liability, 31st March 2025 is not the last date. In that case, 6 months from the date of revised order will be the last date for the payment of tax to the government. So 31st March is notified as the last date for making payment under section 128A subsection 1, except in cases of redetermination of liability. Now we have seen there are 4 situations against which taxpayer can apply for this amnesty scheme. Section 128 subsection 1 clause A, which states that amnesty scheme is applicable when show cause notice is issued but no order is issued by the adjudicating authority. Now in that case, when the application is made in form SPL 01, in that case taxpayer can make the payment through form DRC 03. In that case, payment can be made through form DRC 03. So very simple. So when show cause notice is issued by the department under section 73, but order is not passed by the adjudicating authority under section 73 subsection 9, in that case, full payment of tax can be made using the option of form DRC 03. Now, when order is passed under section 73, in that case, you cannot make the payment directly through form DRC03. In that case, liability is generated in your electronic liability register. So you require to offset the liability against the debit entry made in the electronic liability ledger. And for that, you require to log into the GST portal. You require to go to the services tab, in which you require to select the ledger, and in ledger you require to select the electronic liability ledger, where an option is given for making the payment toward the demand. So against that demand order you can make the payment. Now it may happen that yes, demand is already there on the GST portal under the electronic liability ledger, but I have already paid the liability through form DRC03. In that case, separate provision is provided under rule 142. In that case, you require to file an application in form GST DRC03 to offset the liability created in electronic liability ledger. So in order to offset the liability, you require to make the fresh application in form DRC03A, where you will link the form DRC03 with the liability which is demanded in the electronic liability ledger. And this is how you will offset the liability which is created in the electronic liability ledger. Payment shall be made within a period of 6 months after the redetermination of liability. We have seen in case of show cause notice issued under section 73, order is not passed under section 73, payment can be made through form DRC03. In case order is passed, in that case you can make the payment through the electronic liability ledger or by making the application in form GST 03A. In case of redetermination of liability, the period for making the payment is not 31st March 2025. In that case, the applicant required to make the payment within a period of 6 months of the date of communication of order of the proper officer redetermining the amount of tax paid under section 73. So when you will get the fresh order from the proper officer determining the liability under section 73, from the date of communication of said order, within a period of 6 months, you required to apply for the you required to make the payment against that order. Now some important aspects pertaining to this payment of tax. Payment shall be made after factoring demand under section 16 subsection 4. Payment shall be made after factoring demand under section 16 subsection 4. Section 16 subsection 5 and section 16 subsection 6 is also introduced to provide the relief from the time barred credit. Section 16.4 is about the time barred credit. So government has already given the relaxation in that case. So in that case, you need not require to pay the tax liability under section 16 subsection 4. So you need not require to reverse the credit which is time barred in terms of section 16.4 for financial year 17, 18, 18, 19, 19, 20 and 2021. Right? So whenever you are making the payment with respect to any liability, which also includes the liability on account of section 16.4, in that case, before making the payment against the tax payable as provided in the show cause notice or in the order, taxpayer requires to reduce the demand of section 16 subsection 4. So say total demand is 1 lakh rupees, out of which 40,000 rupees demand is on account of time barred credit under section 16(4). So while making the payment, taxpayer is required to reduce that 40,000 rupees from the 1 lakh rupees, and only 60,000 rupees is payable. So factoring of demand under section 16(4) is necessary when taxpayer is making payment either through DRC 03 or by way of offsetting the liability against the liability debited in electronic liability ledger. Full payment of tax is needed where demand partially includes demand on account of erroneous refund. So say out of 1 lakh rupees, demand of 40,000 rupees is on account of erroneous refund. In that case, since section 128A is not applicable in case of erroneous refund, does it mean I just need to pay the 60,000 rupees? Answer is no. So when demand includes demand on account of erroneous refund also, in that case I require to make the full payment of liability. So in present example, my total liability is 1 lakh rupees, out of which 60,000 is on account of 40,000 is on account of erroneous refund, and remaining 60,000 rupees is on account of some other issues. So in this case, when demand includes on account of erroneous refund, I require to make the 100% payment. So I require to pay the 1 lakh rupees, then only I will get the waiver of interest and penalty. Otherwise, I will not get the waiver of interest and penalty. Similar logic is applicable when demand is made for the period covered and not covered under section 128A. So suppose department has initiated given the show cause notice under section 73 for financial year 17-18, 18-19, 19-20 and 20-21. Now only first 3 periods are covered within the coverage of section 128A. Period of 2021 is not covered under section 128A. So if consolidated show cause notice, single show cause notice is given, in that case I require to make the full payment of tax, including payment of tax for the period which is not covered under section 128A. So say again, suppose there is 1 lakh rupees liability, show cause notice is raised by the department for the financial year 2017-18 till 2021, and for first 3 financial years, suppose my liability is say 70,000 rupees and 30,000 rupees is for 2021. In that case, I required to make the full payment of tax, that is rupees 1 lakh. Then only I can apply for the benefit of waiver of interest for the period of 17-18 to 19-20. Please remember that relief is available only for the specified period, that is financial year 17-18, 18-19 and 19-20. Relief is not available for 20-21. So in that case, I required to separately make the payment of interest and penalty pertaining to financial year 2020 and 2020. Then only I am eligible to get the waiver for financial year 17-18 to 19-20. Tax amount recovered from other person on behalf of the taxpayer. We have seen that tax officer, proper officer, they have power under section 79 that they can recover the amount from the third person. So say I have supplied goods worth 1 lakh rupees to Mr. A. So department is empowered to recover that 1 lakh rupees directly from the supplier. Now whether such recovery will be adjusted against the tax payable under section 128. CBIC has clarified in the circular that when the tax amount is recovered from the third person with respect to any demand, in that case that amount will be adjusted against the tax payable under section 128A. Now taxpayer have tax officer, proper officer, they have already recovered some interest amount or penalty amount for the specified period, that is for financial year 17-18, 18-19 and 19-20. Now can I adjust that interest amount, penalty amount against the tax liability, or can I get the refund? Section 128A, they have clarified that no refund of already tax paid amount will be allowed. So whatever amount you have paid, you will not get the refund of that. And by virtue of that subsection, taxpayer is also not eligible to adjust the interest penalty amount which is not otherwise payable according to this scheme against the tax liability payable under section 128A. So any amount paid by the taxpayer, recovered by the tax officer as interest penalty cannot be adjusted toward the amount payable as a mode of tax payment. How we can make the payment? Can we make the payment through electronic credit ledger? CBIC has clarified in the circular that payment can be made through electronic credit ledger also. So liberty is given to the taxpayer. They can make the payment either through electronic credit ledger or through electronic cash ledger. However, there are certain exceptions. When the tax payable is on account of reverse charge mechanism or by the electronic commerce operator, in that case you are required to pay that amount only through the electronic cash ledger. Similarly, in case of liability on account of erroneous refund also, tax is payable only by debiting to the electronic cash ledger. So payment can be made through electronic credit ledger subject to this three exceptions. First, when payment is under reverse charge mechanism, when the payment by the electronic commerce operator, and when the payment is against the demand on account of erroneous refund. In these three cases, payment through electronic credit ledger is not option of making payment through electronic credit ledger is not available. Now sometime some additional liability may arise. How? Department can go against the order. Under revisionary proceedings, department may find that the amount which was calculated by the adjudicating authority is incorrect. So they can increase the amount, or when there is redetermination of liability on the direction of appellate authority or appellate tribunal or the court, if there is increase in the liability, in that case the applicant is required to make that additional payment within a period of 3 months from the date of said order. So if there is increase in order, if there is increase in the liability either because of departmental appeal or because of revisionary proceedings or because of redetermination of liability under section 73, which was originally initiated under section 74, in that case additional amount of tax is payable within a period of 3 months from the date of said order. And therefore, in cases where an order in form SPL 05 or SPL 06 has been issued, the conclusion of said proceedings will be subject to the condition of making additional payment within a period of 3 months from date of such order. And if additional payment is not made within a period of 3 months from the date of said order, the order issued in form GST SPL 05 or SPL 06 shall become the void. In that case, whatever benefit you have got on account of waiver of interest and penalty, that will be void, and you required to pay that interest and penalty also. So making payment of additional liability within a period of 3 months from the date of order is required in order to make this benefit live. Otherwise, this benefit or otherwise that order under SPL 05 will be void. So far we have seen three important aspects. We have seen first applicability. We have seen second the forms in which you can make the application. We have seen the various aspects related to the payment of tax. Now we will see the last aspect, that is regarding processing of application and issuance of order. Now the whole process is provided in Rule 164 of CGST rules, where the primary requirement is filing an application in form GST SPL 01 or 02 electronically on the common portal. So applicant or person who wish to apply for the amnesty scheme required to upload the application on the common portal in form SPL 01 or 02 as the case may be electronically. Now after receipt of this application, officer will examine the propriety of the said application, whether that application is correct, whether the amnesty scheme is applicable to said person or not, and then the proper officer will process the application for waiver of interest and penalty. So this is the overall process flow. The applicant will make the application in form SPL 01 or in SPL 02. SPL 01, I reiterate, SPL 01 is applicable when show cause notice is issued under section 73, but order is not issued. In that case, applicant can make the application in form SPL 01. SPL 02 is applicable when order is passed under section 73. In that case, the application can be made in form SPL 02. Now, after making application within a period of 3 months from the date of application, the officer shall examine that particular application. He will either accept the application or he will reject the application. Now, if application is accepted by the proper officer, final order will be issued in form SPL 05. So see, SPL 01 is application, SPL 02 is also application. Order will be issued in SPL 05. Now, if application made by the applicant is rejected by the proper officer, if proper officer is of the opinion that applicant is not eligible for the waiver of interest or penalty, in that case, he will issue a show cause notice in form SPL 03. So far we have seen SPL 01, 02, now SPL 03. Now after issuing show cause notice in SPL 03, applicant is required to reply to such show cause notice within a period of 1 month from the receipt of such show cause notice. Now, after filing reply, again, proper officer, if he satisfies that the explanation given by the applicant is proper and applicant is eligible for the waiver of interest and penalty, then he will pass the order in form SPL 05. If proper officer is not satisfied with the reply filed by the applicant, in that case, he will reject the reply and he will pass the order in form SPL 07. Now, after passing the order, after passing the rejection order in form SPL 07, what options are left with the applicant? Either applicant will accept that rejection of SPL 07 when he is not appealing against SPL 07. In that case, original appeal will be restored when applicant is not filing the appeal. against rejection order in SPL 07. In that case, original appeal will be restored against which application in SPL 02 was filed. If applicant opt for the option of appeal against the order passed in SPL 07, in that case, appellate authority, if it satisfies that the proper officer erred in passing the order and applicant is eligible for the waiver, in that case, the appellate authority will accept the appeal and will pass the order in form SPL 05. If appellate authority are of the opinion that order passed by the proper officer is correct and the applicant is not eligible for the waiver scheme, in that case, the appeal will be rejected by the appellate authority and subject to filing of undertaking, the original appeal will be restored. So this is overall process. We will, of course, we will see each and every aspect, but this is the overall process flow which is applicable in case of amnesty scheme. So as I mentioned, after making application, the proper officer will examine the application. He will see that whether the benefit is available to the applicant or not. And if the proper officer is of the opinion that the applicant is eligible for the waiver of interest and penalty, he will pass order in form GST SPL 05. But if the proper officer is of the opinion that appellant is not eligible for the amnesty scheme of waiver of interest and penalty, in that case, he requires to raise the show cause notice in form SPL 03. In form SPL 03 within a period of 3 months from the date of application. The proper officer is also required to provide the appropriate opportunity of personal hearing to the applicant in order to provide the natural justice to that particular applicant. Now, after getting the show cause notice in form SPL 03, applicant is required to make an application, make the reply in form GST SPL 04. And applicant is required to file this reply electronically on the common portal within a period of 1 month from the date of receipt of notice. Now, after filing reply, the adjudication process will start. Now, if proper officer satisfies with the reply given by the appellant, in that case, he will accept the reply and he will pass the order in form GST SPL 05. But if proper officer is not satisfied with the reply given by the proper officer, in that case, he will pass the rejection order in form SPL 07. See, SPL 01 and 02 are the application, SPL 03 is show cause notice, SPL 04 is reply to show cause notice, SPL 05 is order, SPL 07 is rejection order by the proper officer. So, if proper officer satisfies that the reply provided by the applicant is correct and he is eligible for the waiver of interest and penalty, in that case he will pass the order in form SPL 05. And if the proper officer based on the application and reply in form SPL 04 is of the view that taxpayer is not eligible for this waiver of interest and penalty or both under section 128, in such case he will issue the order in form GST SPL 07. Now what is the time limit for passing the order? We have seen that within a period of 3 months, officer is required to pass the order. So when no notice has been issued, within a period of 3 months, officer is required to pass the order in form GST APL 05. Now, if show cause notice is issued by the proper officer and reply is also filed by the applicant, in that case, within 3 months from the date of receipt of reply, an applicant, the proper officer is required to pass the order. So 3 months from the date of receipt of reply by the proper officer. Now, if notice is issued by the proper officer, but no reply is received from the applicant, in that case, within a period of 4 months from the date of issuance of the notice, proper officer is required to pass the order under section 128A. So 3 scenarios: when no show cause notice is issued, in that case, order will be passed within a period of 3 months from the date of receipt of application in form SPL 01 or 02. When notice is issued, reply is also received from the applicant. In that case, within a period of 3 months from the date of receipt of reply, the taxpayer, the proper officer is required to pass the order. And when notice is issued, but taxpayer has not filed any reply, in that case, within a period of 4 months from the date of issuance of notice in form SPL 03, proper officer is required to pass the order. Here, we should take the, we should note that the time period from the date of application for withdrawal of appeal or writ till the date of submission of order for withdrawal of appeal or writ shall be excluded from the time as calculated above. So, if you have applied for the withdrawal of appeal, in that case, date of application till date of order will be excluded from the calculation of this limitation period. That will not be considered. Deemed approval. So when application is made by the applicant but no action is taken by the officer within a period of 3 months, it will be deemed that application is approved by the proper officer and order in form SPL 05 will be approving the said application shall be made available on the common portal. So deemed approval when after 3 months, when proper officer is not taking any action, in that case after 3 months, it will be deemed that officer has accepted and the order will be issued in form GST SPL 05. Now conclusion of proceeding is subject to payment of additional liability, which we have already discussed. Now one more important question: who will be the proper officer to pass the order under section 128A? So it has been clarified in the explanation to rule 164 that who will be the proper officer to pass the order under section 128A. So when application is made in form SPL 01, SPL 01 is applicable when show cause notice is issued but order is not passed. In that case, proper officer who issues the order under section 73 will be the proper officer for passing order under section 128. So in case of SPL 01, person or proper officer who issues the order under section 73 will be the proper officer for passing order under section 128A. In case of form GST SPL 2, Proper officer who recovers the dues under section 79 will be the proper officer for the purpose of passing order under section 128A. So in case of show cause notice, officer who issues the order under section 73 will be the proper officer. In case of application in SPL 02, that is in case of application against any order, person who is allowed to recover the dues under section 79 will be the proper officer for passing order under section 128A. Now when proper officer rejects the application, the applicant can go for the appellate remedy, and the same process which is applicable in case of normal appeal will be applicable in this case also. The applicant may file appeal against the order passed in SPL 07, rejecting the application for waiver. Now rule 164 provides certain process. So in that case you can go for the appeal. No appeal shall lie in certain cases. So when order is passed in favor of the applicant, that is, department has accepted that that person is eligible for the waiver of interest and penalty, in that case applicant cannot go for the appeal. So in case where the application is accepted, the proper officer shall issue order in form GST SPL 05. And any amount specified under section 128A of the CGST Act has been paid and the proceedings are deemed to be concluded under the said subsection, no appeal shall lie against the said order referred. So you have received order in SPL 05, you have made the requisite payment, the proceedings are concluded, in that case you cannot go for the appeal. But in case of rejection of application in order SPL 07, the applicant can go for the appeal. They can apply to the appellate authority against the order made by the proper officer in form GST SPL 07. And all the proceedings which are applicable as per section 107 subsection 1 of CGST Act will be equally applicable in this case also. So normally when we make the appeal, making pre-deposit is the primary condition. But in this case, since tax payment is already made by the applicant, there is no need to make any additional pre-deposit when the applicant is applying for the appeal. However, if tax dues have been paid or amount of tax dues paid is less than the requisite amount of pre-deposit for filing appeal as per section 107 subsection 6 of CGST Act, the remaining amount of pre-deposit will be required to be paid for the filing of said appeal. So if tax payment which is already made by the taxpayer is less than the amount of pre-deposit, in that case taxpayer is required to make the differential payment of pre-deposit on the common portal. Now when applicant is applying for the appeal, in that case the appeal shall be heard only on the matter of waiver of interest, penalty or both. So in that case appellant cannot plead on the merits. In that case, merits which are defined in the original appeal cannot be made the grounds of appeal in this case. So here the applicant can plead only on the ground of waiver of interest, penalty or both. The appeal under section 107 can be made with respect to the applicability of waiver of interest or penalty or both, and not on the merits of the original notice, statement or order. Now once the appeal is once the applicant has decided to not file the appeal against the rejection order in SPL 07, the original appeal which is made in APL 01 will be restored on the common portal. Now, if the appellant decided to go for the appeal against the order passed by the proper officer in form SPL 07, in that case, the appellate authority will decide whether the amnesty scheme is applicable to the appellant or not. So if the appellate authority finds that proper officer has wrongly rejected the said application which was made by the applicant in form SPL 02, in that case, appellate authority will accept the appeal and they will extend the benefit of waiver of interest and penalty to the applicant by issuing order in form GST SPL 06. But if the appellate authority is also of the opinion that the applicant is not eligible for the waiver of interest and penalty and the proper officer has rightly rejected the application, in that case the appellate authority will pass the order in form GST APL 04 rejecting the appeal. In such case, again the original appeal will be restated subject to the condition that the applicant will file an undertaking in form GST SPL 08 within a period of 3 months from the date of issuance of order by the appellate authority, stating that he neither filed nor intend to file any appeal against such order of the appellate authority. So this is how the whole amnesty scheme work. While applying for this amnesty scheme, we must remember all the forms. Form SPL 01, which is application when show cause notice is issued but order is not issued by the adjudicating authority. Second, SPL 02, which is again application but where order is passed. SPL 03 is the show cause notice by the proper officer. SPL 04 is the reply filed by the applicant against the show cause notice. SPL 05 is the order accepting the application. SPL 06 is the order passed by the appellate authority accepting the application. SPL 07 is the application is the rejection order passed by the proper officer for not accepting the application filed by the applicant. So these are all the forms which are relevant with this amnesty scheme, and we should be well versed with all these forms whenever we are applying for the amnesty scheme. So with this, I take the pause. Thank you very much for your patientful listening, and I hope you like this whole video. If you like this video, then please share your comments in the comment box and also subscribe our channel. Thank you very much.